is going on? Anyway, I was thinking about testing something, but forgot, so we are not gonna do that, sadly. Let me have this here. What else? Ah, the timer. Indeed, the timer. Where are you? There we go. Close. Okay, that's that. Now, I need to actually open the game. We're not so late today, so that's great. That's actually good. Good. Wow, that's actually good. Let me. Let me do the basic thing as always. Let me open this. Let me mute this. Activate this. Oh no, I am not multi-streaming on YouTube. Like, not doing both vertical and horizontal. It's so over. Wow. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Let me copy this. Yeah. Discord. Where are you? Here. I was thinking about a soak today. We're gonna talk about the archetypes. No. That was it will be so crazy, but no. Like not even important. We're not gonna do that. We are absolutely not gonna do that. But yeah, anyways, I need to test something. So there will be a tiny this. It has like 5 audio. Thank God you didn't hear that. Also, let me mute this. Why? Okay, no. I was like, why am I listening to it multiple times in a row? But no. I'm not actually, so that's all good. Also, it's for some reason because it's cold. I'm having an even tougher time being able of speaking normally. So I don't know. I guess be warned. I assume or something like that. Yeah. This plus this. Today is only the day of Hero Siege. Amazing. I feel like yeah, I played it by myself yesterday. That's what happened. No, whether today is not the fourth day. Today is the third day for us here, but it is for me the fourth day. In reality, it's not like the fourth day. Truly, I opened. I think something that on a wheel is always useful. No, opened the game before getting to actually play it, just in case, and yeah, made sure that I remembered the basics. But well, let me. What am I looking for? Discord. I only have a handful of things to say, so we will see how it goes today. Also, what's up with this? Why? Discord, are you not working? Why are you not showing the links? What's up with that? For some reason it isn't. Only God knows why. Thank you. Yeah, I can already feel my throat weird, so I should. It's hard. I remember I said something about that the other day. You know, when you hear, when you get the sensation to like cough and whatnot, it's so difficult to actually hold back from doing that. Even if you know that you shouldn't, like, I don't know, when you know that you should avoid scratching a mosquito bite, same thing. I don't really have that much of an easy time avoiding what I feel like doing. In that sense, it's so easy to access, let's say that. It's actually complicated to be capable of properly avoiding it. But we will see, we will see. We can do something about that for sure, no? But okay, here we are. I think I have everything in place. Yeah. Thankfully enough, because there is literally nothing to do in terms of me changing the whole, I wouldn't say situation, simply the whole stuff around the stream. Yeah, the stream setup for the game. There is literally nothing else to set up, so. I should certainly. It's like the only important thing. I should open Gaso. Thank you, Rovio. Okay. Here we are. Also, I don't know, I should probably say something about. I don't really know how much we're going to be capable of surviving because I am making everything up so much. I have no clue what I'm doing in this game. It's incredibly different to what Path of Exile itself is, and sadly, there is such an absence of guides and whatnot that it makes it wonderful to actually try to understand what to do and how to do it and whatnot. Also, something tells me that there is a waitlist. Something gives me an idea that there is a waitlist. Let me show you actually, like gaming. Are you capturing the game? Why are you not capturing the game? What happened? Okay, there we go. Here. You see? For some reason it's loading. Only God knows why it's loading. Like, I don't want to go back just in case. Is there any kind of maintenance going on right now? No way. No, don't tell me that. I'm gonna cry if that's the case. I didn't think out anything else. I wasn't. I love that the idea is you should be checking other stuff out, but anyway, I don't know. No, wow, it works! Amazing! Here we are, here we are. Okay. So great. Life is magnificent. But anyways, yeah. I have to mute chat once again and whatnot. And also I have to close the DPS counter. I have it open for some reason. I shouldn't have it open. Like, I don't need to have it open at all. I came here with this guy test. There we go. And it's so easy to use the whole DPS counter that I forgot to close it later on. But it also has like that whole sensation of when the information that you're given is absolutely wrong. Also, give me a second, because there is something that I did forget to set up. Meanwhile, good evening. There we have the desktop from audio. What? Audio from desktop. So that's that. But that doesn't solve the problem. I still have two options. Gameplay, audio. Here. Like 40 as always says, yeah. Can you sit exactly at 40? There we go. I don't know, waste too much time on that. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, you have some audio. Is it enough, actually? It works. No. Let me give it a little bit more. There we go. 45. Wow, that's a change. But yeah, here we are. So, I was here because I was trying to see what's up with. No, I was setting so many things up for the world and what's not. It's interesting. I have a handful of things already for the next sessions, I guess, yeah. The only problem is going to actually be to make it work. And I don't know, we're probably going to have to look at the screen of market for a while today too, because it's unavoidable. But there are so many great things in terms of seeing what you can buy and what not that it becomes quite worth it to buy stuff and such. So yeah, the point is, I wanna see how to what's this. Also, why is gold ore so cheap? What? Why are people selling this stuff basically? Or this thing also? What? Is this thing always so cheap? Somebody sold one for 400. Someone else sold like one for how much? 3,000? What? Whatever, we're not here to be market flippers or anything like that, so yeah. I say that just as I get tempted to continue market flipping. Yeah. But anyways, point is, yeah, I don't know. I have found some stuff to continue making everything work so far. And the problem is going to be that I have another handful of things that I believe we can utilize also, that requires a lot of patience in terms of making sure that I can actually make sure that what I am trying works and isn't killing me. Like, I believe there is a way to make the build work, but it relies on me being capable of dodging, and I don't know how much I can actually dodge. So yeah, that's something to see. Also, yet again, what a great experience when things need to load like this. What a true. Oh my god, every single item transferred to the bolt is going to make it lag now? No way. No way. It can happen. Anyway, I was trying to say, good morning. It has been a while. I took yesterday free to try to study a little bit more, and yes, yeah, to some degree I did get to do that, so I'm happy about all of that. I was always expecting and interested in sitting down and doing exactly that, making sure that I can study, but because it takes a handful of time, I am always having issues in terms of it's also so easy to just come and do this. It's an easy choice. It's an easier choice, and it's not like as always. You cannot study in any other way, nor in any other circumstance. So, how much is this thing going to actually be loading? What's up with? Oh my god! My favorite part of the game, being stuck on this inventory screen for the next 20 minutes. At some point, I will have to actually exit. If this doesn't. No way, it actually got broken. Losing it. Anyways, I was trying to say that, yeah, the whole aspect of doing the rest of the work and what's not. I have a handful of things to say in regards to that. I feel like I have gotten to understand, not exactly gotten to understand, I have started, more appropriately it is to say, I started to formulate some theories in regards to many things that at some point I guess we're going to talk about and what's not. This thing really broke? No way. I don't know how to restart. What a great game. It's all necessary anyways, I guess. No, let's give it 1 or 2 more minutes. Meanwhile, let me continue saying that yeah, the whole aspect of studying and whatnot, and it's interesting. It also is difficult to some degree. You need to properly, even if you know that you have the possibility of studying, it doesn't mean that you're exactly going to take advantage of that. Welcome, Turn. I hope you're doing well. And I hope you have enjoyed your, what is it? Your, no, not just weekend, but what was it? Lentil? Lent? Lentil is, no. Lentil, lentil is like the food. Lent. I hope you have enjoyed your Lent. Or something like that. I don't know. I was actually surprised by how many people actually seem to be doing out of that the whole yeah. I think I have a theory. I feel like people like to care in terms of I get to have my free day, so I unavoidably I am such a religious person, even if I am not. But for the sake of having yet another free day, also no problem. It can happen. It can so easily happen. I thank you for the lurk. I tend to stream so much nowadays that it can very well happen. And the best part, sadly, is that I don't utilize a schedule either. So I try to come here almost every single day, and I feel like perhaps the reasonable action would be to let Sundays be the rest day, as it is tradition on almost every single place of the world. Like, unavoidably on Sundays, you know that you have to rest and such. So perhaps that. Oh my god! Okay, I am going to restart the game. I love this video game, but if it isn't going to work, then we cannot do anything about that. Let me close it. There we go. Give me here for a second while I open it again. Just to not be in the emptiness of nothingness. Oh, yeah. But yeah. What? What? There was an error? What do you mean? Create file. What? Oh my god, I was about to, no. Tell me that it opens. Don't tell me that I somehow broke this thing. Starting. Waiting for the game? Easy anti-cheat. I swear to god, if you broke something. Okay, it opened. Okay. Where are you? Here we are. Back. But yeah, I was saying that I don't know, I feel like it's strange always to take into account or to have to act in accordance with the whole stuff of, yeah, it's rest time in terms of we have that extended weekend and whatnot. And many people say, yeah, but it's fine. For on one hand, it doesn't really matter, I guess. As long as we get to rest, it's all good in my eyes. That's one thing, and the other one that I was also trying to say is the whole aspect of I also ate Brazil. What? Brazil 1 is like incredibly full. Makes sense. Makes a little bit of sense that Brazil is going to have some problems. Disconnected? No response from server? What do you mean? Is this game dying? What's up with these servers? I love this so much. Do I have to actually join someone? Disconnected, no response. Brazil 1, then. No. I like being so far away from any other place, like, pretty sure even if I try to play on something like it works. Brazil one for some reason works. Now the question is, can I save stuff or is it going to crash again? Because if that's the case, today we're just playing and I am not saving anything. I am not storing anything ever again. But yeah, anyway, I was trying to say that, yeah, I don't know, I feel like Sunday is a good enough day to rest. But that's the only constant that I can settle down. I like having actually no structure. It's such an easy trap to say, oh no, yeah, it matters so much what we're gonna be doing next time and in this handful of days. We have to organize ourselves. We have to possess a schedule and whatnot. I feel not exactly like it is an invention in terms of, oh yeah, somebody wants to do some kind of harm, but rather that it is pretty easily converted into a bad thing to be so willing to fall for the whole idea of, yeah, you know what, you have to be so willing to settle down everything and you have to be so willing to find a way in which you can somehow make everything fall in place and whatnot within its exact precise location, and you the scheduling itself is the most necessary aspect. I don't feel like it's absolutely necessary, at least in our case, yeah. So we are probably not going to have one, at least for now. Once again, I don't feel like it's necessary. Not like it is important at all. At a later point in life, perhaps, but for now, all that matters is we are going to be here probably from Monday to Sunday. What? No, from Monday to Saturday, yeah. And after that, then it will finally be rest day on Sundays. That's, once again, it's the whole already precise thing. It seems to be about the whole aspect of, if we can, if it is possible for us, we're going to have all of these things based around a normal, quote-unquote normal schedule that people can easily understand and that can be easily followed. And, yeah. So, we're gonna see how it goes. For now, that's all that I can settle comfortably. That I can say, yeah, we are good enough to actually have. Also, isn't this like incredibly pricey? Yeah. I tried to say that we're not gonna be flipping stuff, but I don't know, man. People are selling some things so cheaply for some reason sometimes. I feel like most of these games actually have something wonderful when they open up the market and whatnot. The whole possibility for you to make profit and the whole possibility for you to gain things is so present that you can actually gain a lot. The only issue is, unavoidably, we have to sit here and we have to do the whole scrolling through all of this. But that's much better than to not having anything to actually buy at all or similar. But anyway, we're gonna see. We're gonna see what this leads to. For now. Anyways, besides that, I don't know. I said, thankfully, then yesterday I got to utilize my time on continuing to study, and it's enjoyable. But sitting down to do that is quite complicated in terms of actually agreeing to do it. You know that you have to do it. You know, in my case, I am absolutely aware that I should be indeed progressing with the study, but there is that whole. I feel like it's a valid argument. To some degree, it's a valid argument. I don't need an explanation in terms of, oh no, yeah, you're approaching the topic from a wrong place. But it's so easy to simply feel like the act of studying doesn't possess that much of an importance when the normalized message is, yeah, you can just, in a couple of days, you can catch up with the material. Like, it's something that we have instituted as a quote-unquote norm to such a degree that, yeah, all of us can with a handful of days, somehow study dozens or, yeah, even hundreds of pages for the sake of getting to approve and whatnot, and getting to pass grades and such. And that notion then becomes bad, because unavoidably it's cementing the idea, the belief that you can truly do something like that, when in itself it's quite inaccessible, the possibility of why is this thing not working? I don't have any more money. I don't have any more money. But I don't know, I guess most also of what I feel like needs to happen is related to the whole aspect of understanding in there, that one has to not let such notions become the predominant factor in one's own life and such. Even if I hear that I can wing my studies and whatnot, I still have the necessity to really sit down, and I still have the necessity to truly progress in my advancements and my discoveries and all of those things. Otherwise, I am not going to ever get to where I truly feel like being, and I am not going to attain the grades and the things that I am truly hoping to have in my hands, basically. And all of that is once again a difficult thing to do in itself in terms of, but it feels so well to think that you are quote unquote above that norm. The whole aspect of I have heard around me enough times that I am not like that. I don't need to do that myself. Even if that happens in some way, that's not a concern for us. Also, just a quick explanation. I finished so far the first difficulty. This game has like, okay, let me explain it properly. Create game. Here you have difficulties: normal, nightmare, hell, and inferno. Basically, you have to beat the game in 4 different difficulties. And the point is, I already did finish it on, what is this? Normal. So now we have to go to do it on nightmare. But yeah. Anyway, I was saying basically that, I don't know, I feel like, even so, the basic explanation once again is, you are told that you don't really need to study, you are told that you don't really have the necessity to apply yourself to the acquisition of knowledge and such, but even if that is something that you are told by others, that doesn't make the notion correct. Like, the critical thinking, I guess, I don't really know where to land it, where to place it, let's say, yeah. It goes somewhere, but basically, to accept that one has to truly work properly enough, well enough to make sure that I get to continue progressing and I get to actually gain something from my efforts, not fall trapped to that given uncertainty, that sort of fantasy, basically, of, yeah, this is how things work, without any other degree of judgment or whatever. It has another layer to it, and it's found in that place of, I can truly say I understand that even if I am being told that things can be quite easy, I still require to pay attention. I still require to try to make sense of what I am hearing, just in case, because once again, even if the message sounds great, it might not be absolutely accurate, and because of that I need to ascertain that therefore I am doing the right thing. But yeah, it's in the work of all of that, that I therefore come here and say, oh wow, it's so difficult to get to finally continue studying, and why also I always say, we can not we can skip those sorts of responsibilities. Instead, we deserve to stream like this. But I don't know. It sounds bad, anyways. The reality is, it still has that other aura of, oh no, yeah, because of that, I'm missing out on classes and whatnot. It also has a lot to do with time management and the proper organization of one's own. What is it? Schedule, basically. Yeah. Once that happens, once that is present, and once all of those things give the person the possibility of operating within the world, then the whole journey, so to speak, becomes far more manageable. Otherwise, no, it's still way too difficult to do much stuff in general. But it's good, it's just, I can say that I need to organize myself, but to actually do it is still difficult. Even if right now I am not truly struggling anymore, I have found finally to some degree a balance in terms of yeah, I can actually settle down and think properly. Like what I like to describe many times when it comes to this, the proper comparison and weight in of weighing of factors. Today I decided to not study. Okay, what happens if I decide to not do that? Contemplate the consequences that might arise from doing or avoiding to do something that I know I should be doing. Contemplating the consequences of deciding to abandon something that I know I should be working on. Contemplating all of those sides of the equation. And in doing that, unavoidably then comes the realization once again of, I can avoid it. I can still avoid it. But I better not avoid it if I truly want to progress in any meaningful way. So, therefore, organization of one's own schedule and what's not in a personal manner. Once again, because what I was trying to say is along the lines of, it's not truly that I miss out on anything simply because I decided to stream. If personally at least I do, it simply is because I didn't organize the rest of my day well enough to. It's not about making up for the time that this thing consumes in any way. It's simply understanding that there might be a better time to do everything. Like for example, even if I get to study at night, there is that whole notion of it's quite dangerous to be so willing to study so late at night, because in the end, your thinking capacity, your capacity to retain information, all of those things are also affected by the time. And particularly, to not sound so unspecific, by how much time you have already spent awake, how much time you have already been throughout the day up. If I realize that I have been up for, I don't know, multiple hours, I think it's around 8 hours already, I might be at my peak. But if I have been up for 16 or more hours, then I might not be capable of absorbing anything. So even if I wanted to, studying at night wouldn't give me that many benefits in any manner whatsoever. And that's bad, unavoidably, but that also is what I can ignore to act like, no. Therefore, today I didn't get to study. It's so over. It's all so bad. I shouldn't have done this. I should have instead chosen to study. It doesn't truly work that well in many ways. So better to avoid it. For the sake of that, better to avoid any kind of argumentation of that nature. But easy to say, difficult to actually make happen, see occur and whatnot. But even so, still, slowly accomplished with enough practice, like, I don't know, so many corrections. Even if it sounds bad in some way, they can take years, but better to take years and be capable of accomplishing them and changing in the way in which one can realize there could be different benefits and whatnot than to not accomplish anything at all. You know, that already makes it wonderful, and that already makes all of this much nicer, so to speak. So yeah, it's because of that I end up saying, yeah, good enough to get to fix those things and such, and continue working on that. So yeah, basically my incredibly or extended explanation of why it was rest day. How I think at least the most important factor is finally to say, okay. Therefore, I have identified a way in which I can say, we shall do this, we can do this. Because otherwise, it's so, I don't know. With the recurring theme of what I say in regards to what I hear, implementing it or including it, utilizing it within my own ideas, I don't truly know if that is the case, but because I have heard that being said by other people, at that point then I replicate that very same notion. Okay, because of that, I feel like sometimes it sounds, people make it sound like streaming is incredibly unenjoyable or time consuming or what is it, debilitating. And I don't know, I have actually found that empty mind and whatnot allows you to see, I did this. And after that, what can I take out from the experience? Okay, unlike what I have heard, I haven't felt too bad. Unlike what I have heard, I didn't think that this was useless. Unlike what I have heard before, I haven't thought that all of this could have been not done. Unlike what I have heard, and many other more notions of that very same sort, basically. That once again, they are present to some degree, but one doesn't really try to stop and analyze, wait, where they are even coming from, so why is one being influenced by them and whatnot, becomes normal when it shouldn't be so normal. Like, it's fine to be influenced. It's not that I have to be a unique being of my own and whatnot. But the question of influence exactly by what? For which reason I am letting myself be influenced by this thing? Why is this influence something that I should want in some way or another? And in that question, in that search for an answer, the realization appears of, I can see to some degree, yeah, I am doing this and I am actively participating on the creation and the encounter on all of that, of the same thing myself. But it doesn't really mean that I should be totally immersed in having that happen. It's not so necessary to have that happen, basically. We are not so obliged to have that happen. So it's better to just make sure that this is, once again, by default, not having that weight of bad sensations that otherwise gets normalized as, once again, fine, part of the process and whatnot. But yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting. The real point is, it's very interesting to see how all of that affects, works, and can be either created or negated from life, basically. Because otherwise, once again, it's not really necessary to have it exist. One can make it look like it's fine, but it never has a true need to be present. We let them be, when sometimes it's not even truly necessary to have them. Or, yeah, not truly necessary to have all of that simply influence us in any way. But yeah, that's all in regards to that. Point was some quick summary that, yeah, we working on things, making sure that we can continue being here and mostly making sure that I don't know, the eternal analysis probably of. But I hear so many times people say, but I was forcing myself to be here when I didn't really feel like doing so. I don't know. I feel great actually. I cannot say that I feel bad. I cannot say that I encounter all of this to be annoying. Balance is achievable. The issue, well, at least actually tend to truly find it, because even if it is achievable, it doesn't mean that it is intrinsically achieved, therefore by everyone. That doesn't happen in that way. It can happen, but it doesn't instantaneously happen. So, it's a whole journey. But it's good. Despite whatever it is good. And besides that, I don't know. I met the Soak earlier when we were setting up the whole stuff of, okay, then this means that it's time. Today we're gonna be talking about archetypes. I don't know. I feel I have understanding that, really. It's very interesting to continue progressing in all of those readings, even if they feel so strange. You wouldn't truly expect them to be so abstract, and I don't know, there is a whole aspect also of, it's good to know that things can make some degree of sense, but it also, I don't truly think that it is entirely the best, so to speak, to have something be that much basic in life, that much, not basic, distanced from what happens in the world, like an utterly astral theory, so to speak, like so much of its fundaments and so much of what, I don't know if the proper word, I don't think it gives it credibility, it just gives it sustain for its existence, basically, on what it is founded on and what it utilizes as a way of speaking about stuff. All of that is incredibly uncommon to see in that context, but still, it's not like it's impossible to understand. As I was saying, as I have been saying multiple times at this point, indeed, once you can actually start doing the whole working on things by or after having removed the assumptions that the world likes to insert on you, the impressions that others gave you about this same thing, which then influences how you act in accordance to the goal that you have and such, is absolutely amazing, because now I can truly say that I am enjoying it. I am enjoying a lot more reading stuff, and I am enjoying a lot more progressing with the exploration of text, and I am getting to pick up the pace. Simply put, there is a much higher capacity of, even if it is a late stage capitalism term, so to speak, the whole aspect of, oh no, you don't think yourself as a person, you see yourself as a machine and whatnot. You need to always be producing something, and you always need to be in the whole rat race, stuck in trying to make sure that you are making things move in one direction or another. To some degree, it can be a valid critique, but even then, it's weird to assume, let's say, that the normal states of existence, the normal way of being, is far more related to an absolute stillness in life. Do you truly think we are gonna be happy if we are not doing anything of that sort? If we are not working on anything of that kind? If we are not going to have any of those things influence how we go about living and such? I don't truly know. I feel like well, it is a lie, but I don't truly know nor think that it truly happens in that way. That I don't need to think out this myself. I just know unequivocally that I am going to have such a good time doing something that I absolutely hate. I don't think so. And because of that, I feel like working first and foremost on the given approach that we have to these things, and after that, letting, introducing the notion that sometimes how I am referring to things is not really the way in which I would like to, but rather one that has been given to me by outside influences, and which I never tried to see if they truly go along the lines of what I feel like happens when I do the action. Let's say, it sounds so abstract. The notion is good, but the issue is it relies heavily on what one does in their own life. If I do not realize that I am being told something and I am acting based on that very same notion, then my... Why is there so much water noise? And why is it so loud? Something tells me that I don't like it. Give me a second, actually. Like that, I guess. Okay. I was saying that, the whole aspect of actually realizing that indeed, even if there are things that could influence me and whatnot, I don't necessarily have to be influenced by all of that. I don't... It's not a must thing. It's not an obligatory aspect, basically. It can be, but it doesn't need to be. And by letting all of them go, then seeing that, I am doing what I used to do before in an even different way, in an even, to some degree, even if it sounds so strange, in an even better way. And that's beautiful. Because, we are far more capable of what we can actually realize. And sadly, these kind of notions, because they go unnoticed, because they go uncritiqued by oneself, they can very much become what easily they have a proper category in terms of limiting beliefs and whatnot, and indeed they fall under those categories, sadly. So working on all of that, basically, and making sure that there is nothing else of that sort. Also making being annoying and making the act of being something that one chooses to not have for the sake of something that maybe sometimes remains unclear. But we are happy, and that's great. Besides that, I guess we can talk about the main theory of today, because I have something. It's way too much of a strange theory, but I want to talk about it because I feel like it's great enough. It's interesting enough, even if it isn't entirely true in terms of, this is what actually happens. Even if that's not the case, just to try to have it exist can be useful around us. I feel like there is something always associated. Okay, let me explain it like this. Whenever you study, there is something wonderful that happens in those subjects related to the life of oneself. Indeed, the specific person, but more accurately or more particularly about what happens in regards to the life of oneself, not the person as a generic category of whenever you are thinking about human beings in general, but rather whenever, while in the process of analyzing information that does pertain to humans, you encounter things that then could in some way be applied to oneself. It is that such a degree of event occurs, and this is related to, I feel like always, something that I don't see mentioned is whenever you are studying something of this kind, and the issue is, parentheses, it cannot exist in so many areas of knowledge. That's the weirdest thing, because it doesn't just happen or just occur or find itself constrained to merely, I don't know, for example, let's say the conversations about what is philosophical viewpoints, or yeah, you're talking about human subjects and things that affect them there. Then you're talking about maybe psychology. No, you can also be talking about sociology. You can also, something surprising that I found out is, you can also even be talking about anthropology. You can be talking about economics sometimes. Like, in general, it gets to make a little bit more sense, the whole category of social sciences now, because indeed so much of that pertains to most of the aspects of the human life, not in any one particular way, but they do have a lot to do with what happens in the life of a person, with what occurs and what could be and such, and all of that is absolutely influenced in one way or another, even if sometimes we cannot truly deduce why we are being influenced by these things, why they matter. The very least that one can try to do is to say that, yeah, there is something over there that has some sort of influence on me, and because that's the case, then I can try to think about why that possesses any kind of importance in my life. And yeah, it's with that I feel like, surprisingly enough, it's great actually to be capable of contemplating all of that. There is self-reflection, and like when you read about philosophical treatises of older times, like when you start from the basics and you go basically, yeah, incredibly back in time to encounter what people used to say and what used to be the notions present at those times and the notions utilized and shared at those moments in life and whatnot. There was a whole aura of, okay, what seems to be true, what seems to be the case, is that indeed here we have a lot of necessity, we have a huge need for self-reflection, and the person by itself does not have access to anything that lets them reflect on their own nature. The older primitive human, quote unquote, even if it isn't really a primitive human, but even if they just thought that it was, lived an absolutely unanalyzed life, like I think it is like Socrates or one of those that says something along the lines, the uninspected life or such is not worth living, because that could have very well been the case. And even if that can still happen nowadays, the point is, it doesn't happen entirely just because there are no things available to us. Nowadays, there is such a huge deal of information present from all sides that, realistically speaking, one can perform the act of analysis with all of those texts that they can find out there, with all of those pieces of information, notions that you can utilize from the outside, that you can instill and ensure work for you and benefit you in one way or another. and let them be, basically. And it's very strange that this aspect, so to speak, remains so unmentioned. Like, still, most of what happens nowadays is not most of what happens, most of what needs to happen in the life of those who want to live a better life, let's say like that. That whole huge category, like, whenever you hear somebody preaching these kind of notions, you see them utilize such grandiose language, no? So what they like to utilize is that whole field of, yeah, whoever is trying to live a greater life, whoever is trying to strive for something of meaning, of importance in this world, needs to have these things happen and whatnot. And within that, what we have to realize the most is that all of this doesn't occur nowadays. No. Even if it doesn't occur naturally, and it can never occur, no. That's the part where a lie is created already. There are more than enough places in which we can have that be found naturally. Like, the human nature has. It can sound crazy, yeah, but the human nature has never been as such as it is being nowadays, perhaps, and that makes these current times quite useful for anyone willing to do that work and hoping to see what can come out of that, basically. And that's, yeah, I guess that's the first part, because the reality is unavoidably this is basic enough. This is what happens always, this is what can happen nowadays. So sorry, yeah, this isn't exactly an absolutely determined thing in terms of yeah, and this means that in the way in which I am describing it, it always occurs. Welcome, Susie. I hope you're very well today. Well, wait, let me see. Now I remember. Do I need to? No. Okay. I was actually starting to wonder. I don't really need to change the latency every single stream on YouTube. That's great. Also, glad to hear. Hope you can keep being very fine, very good. So far, I don't know. I haven't. What the fuck is this area? Saying stuff, I guess. Losing it. No. I can't even losing it. I'm not losing it. I am so fine. I am so rational. I am such an intelligent person. No. We have been enjoying so far the game. We have been having an easy time, I guess. Yeah, unavoidably. Things have been working out somehow, surprisingly enough. I think I found a way in which this can not kill me, and I have been trying to follow it, so doing well enough. And besides that, simply saying stuff as always. Vitality, I guess. But yeah, I was in the middle of a rant about you could call it self-actualization. I guess that's the easiest, the most utilized term. That's what's currently the thing that I have been thinking about. I guess, yeah. Even if it's not exactly what could describe it the best, it's accurate enough. But yeah, I said, summing up basically the first point, I feel like nowadays it's quite accessible. It's not as difficult as before, where most of the analysis had to occur literally from the perspective of the self, where you could never think out things with the help of someone else. Like, the good example was when you talk about ancient Romans and whatnot, those philosophical times where people were, or very similar thing indeed, for the sake of this example, and how any kind of self-analysis and self-actualization and whatnot has to occur literally only through. If you haven't read anything, you can always. There are two things that you should always make sure to read. The first one is what's called quote unquote continental philosophy. That category is filled with authors, but you always have to begin with the basics. Plato, Socrates, and if you feel like continuing, you can reach modernity with someone like Descartes, but it's that last one is way too difficult. It's easier to read once again either Plato or Socrates. I think the order is Plato first, then Socrates, as far as I remember. I don't exactly remember the order of which one came first, but yeah, one is the student of the other. I think it is Socrates, then Plato, and you always have an easier time. You will always have with those two because they have a way of narrating things that it's filled with followable explanations, and they constitute once again what's called continental philosophy. They are very good for how they explain things, but if you also like logic and whatnot, Republic, yeah, it's the Republic is literally where you begin. Where most people like to begin, let's say. It's the longest work of Plato, so it's quite complicated in terms of it has way too many notions and it has way too many allegories and figures of speech that are absolutely metaphorical. It's not so much of a direct work. Both of them have a lot of things that are far easier to understand once you can actually approach the text from a place of understanding their methods. And sadly, the Republic is one of those that requires you to have read perhaps a handful of his books to understand how he's trying sometimes to discreetly hint at things, not even say them, but hint at notions so that you can understand them for yourself. So, Republic is a good book. If you're trying to understand philosophy, it's an essential book, but it's not where you should begin with. Like, once again, they have far more digestible treatises, which don't make you feel like you're absolutely stupid for not getting the way in which they like to argue about the stuff, basically. Once again, that is one side. And there is an absolutely different way of doing. I think that might be able to read. I can somebody read Don Quixote. If that will be good enough to be able to read it on my own and understand it. Yeah. The difference is, not sadly, just that, yeah, Don Quixote and similar works, like, for example, the Faust of Goethe, which is, to some degree, also incredibly modern, the messages are a lot more implied, and they don't really carry so much of a weight. You don't truly need to feel like you have absolutely gained something in terms of they are not forcing you to understand something. Continuing to build upon that notion when it comes to philosophical works of any nature, they like to. We begin with A, then we utilize A to further explain B, which once again relies on the existence of A, and with A and B we can either create C or D, or we can create an entirely new category which is not letters at all, and the problem is that requires a lot of patience to explore. It's doable, but it requires practice to finally get their method. But yeah, once again, that is one kind of philosophy, because what I'm saying also instead of structure A, structure B, and such, it can fall under a different category of analytical philosophy, what's called analytical, which does utilize directly those categories of, okay, if A precedes B, if A implies C and such, and more formal logical arguments, basically. That stuff is also incredibly useful, because in the end, once you reach what's called modernity, post-modernity and such, those things are discussed extensively. You need to understand how to read both of them. So you need to have a background, both in what's continental and analytical philosophy. And for analytical philosophy, you have, I said, Plato, or well, Socrates, Plato, which was a student of Socrates, and you have then Aristotle, which was a student of Plato, basically. And Aristotle is who settles down the whole discussion, or who cements the basis for how to do analytical philosophy. It's like you literally have the possibility of reading the person who created this way of thinking, or who made sure that the rules that we now call universal were absolutely accepted. Also, why did that garbage get out of mode? I just realized. Makes sense. Sorry, I should show it. Sorry. Give me a second. Give me. I wasn't expecting that. It's understandable. I mean, Twitch cannot know that I am. Shut up, bro. Gently, you should evacuate yourself. But no, yeah. Basically, saying that you have on the other side Aristotle's. It's you start with whichever one you feel like, Socrates, Plato, or Aristotle's. Socrates and Plato pertain to one category, and Aristotle's pertains to a completely different one. And if not, if you decide for some reason that none of those work, that you say, oh no, yeah, I tried to read them before, there are still many more authors of ancient times, like there are a lot of Persian and not exactly Arabs, but we call them Arabs for an easier time, basically, for what was the whole region of older Andalusia and such. So you can read out of those also. But once again, the canon, when you go to a course, an introductory course, are those two, basically. No, those three. And after that, once again, I don't know, you can, holy shit, you can go to through modernity and read stuff, once again, like solid thinking, quote unquote, as in talking about who are Kant, and I did mention to some degree Descartes and such, but if you don't understand the basics to follow how philosophical thinking is structured, you will have way too much of an unnecessarily hard time progressing in the ideas that they are trying to teach you. So the implied message is if you read towards incredibly old things, then you won't suffer so much with the more modern stuff. But yeah, that's what anyone will recommend you to begin with. Like, if you want a specific book, I think it is called The World of Sophia or something like that, or Sophie in English. The World of Sophie, I think it is, and that basically gives you a slow introduction through all of these other authors. But yeah, it's doable. The only thing I will say is have patience, because all of these books are incredibly long and all of them love to take perhaps 100 pages or so sometimes to get to solid ideas and specific notions. So yeah, it's interesting, but it requires a lot of commitment to actually get them. And I don't know, whichever, just in case the question is, but which method? Should I read them, audiobook them? Whichever one works for you, and you know that works for you. As long as that works, as I'm saying, whichever method you choose works, it's all amazing. But yeah, that's my thing. That's my recommendation, I guess. Hope it helps. I don't know. If you want names, I can write them down. Because I know that I say way too many names at this point. Sorry. But anyways. Besides that. I feel like probably should try to get slay 50,000 monsters and reach level 17. Amazing. This game is so keen. So many achievements, so much stuff always happening. What a beauty, what a beauty. Also, I don't know if I said, sorry, excuse me. Actually, excuse me. Welcome, say. Hope you are doing very well. Also, no, wait. I actually need to drink some water. I'm dying here. Okay. So, anyways, trying to continue with what I was saying before. Then, the whole argumentation for what is the concept of self-actualization. Something that I don't know, I like how people like to talk about it in itself, but at the same time, how little actual information is found about it in terms of, yeah, this is what's going to happen, this is what's the norm, this is what's usually encountered whenever you try to do this and such. It's a friend. No. Don't kill him. No. It's his girl. But yeah, there is something that I find extremely interesting. I guess to some degree it's basic enough, no? But whenever it comes down to self-actualization itself, I have found out that there is a lot of friction with the stuff. There is a lot of material that lets you understand the human nature and also what pertains to what oneself must do, but there is also a lot of stuff within those categories that possess huge barriers in terms of, but can I truly utilize these notions on myself And more especially, am I truly willing to do that? Even if I know that I can utilize this. Like, okay, what's a good example? In the development of thought of any person, since you're a kid, basically, there is something that this society requires for you to be allowed to exist, basically. You need to learn how to not to want to kill anybody. That's not as surprising for us anymore. So that's why I can utilize that example. How it is necessary for one to be capable of saying, yeah, I can understand that I should actually not want to kill other people. That whole process, which when sometimes you are a little, you start from a different perspective of, hey, perhaps under different situations, under certain conditions, or if I feel like doing it, there is no problem. I am going to kill somebody. In the process of self-actualization itself, it happens that situations of this sort are always encountered, which put the human who is trying to think about them in the position, in the place of, can I truly say that this is going to be a change that I am going to implement in my own life or not? And that's where it occurs that one could very easily say, but I'm not so sure, not so. I cannot agree sometimes with things. And when that happens, my point is, when that happens, I find it incredibly normal to see, to say, to feel discomfort, but not one thing. Like, I don't know, for example, I can feel discomfort right now if I open my window and there is a very cold breeze and it comes, hits me in the body, and I suddenly get a tiny brief shudder. I can say that I am feeling discomfort. That's easy. That's incredibly basic. But not that kind of discomfort. The kind which can actually take multiple days to solve. The discomfort which arises from the realization sometimes of, okay, what's something that I can actually utilize to not be so specific, like, if I am trying to understand how I operate within myself, how I do things, and how I make sure that I live. Wait. Sorry, I got that good item. Sorry, I got distracted. How I am trying to operate in this world, like how I am trying to go about, for example, my own aggressiveness in relation to others, the whole, something that nowadays we always have in vogue, like, yeah, you should not be willing to be so violent, you should not be willing to recur or to utilize unnecessarily all of those means of attacking others. You should be rather focused on what can allow you to not damage the person who you care about, to not be, quote unquote, because that is literally still uncertain, like that is fundamentally something that the person has to make sense of by themselves, how to constitute the notion that this is a change which I need to make in accordance with what sometimes, whether I am being told, and sometimes I can accept, needs to be removed, so to speak. With all of that, it happens that if I cannot truly say that I am agreeing with it, and if I am still trying to change my ways, like, continuing with the example of aggression, if I am trying to remove my degrees of hatred that I, before that point, never got to get rid of, basically, and if I never made sure that they diminished in their nature, now that I am forcing that change onto me, even if the reason is good, it's the doubt is not about the reason as to why one is trying to do better, why I am trying to improve as a person. That's not a question here. Like, you can be trying to improve for any goal that you want. The point is, when you are trying to do that, something funny happens, and that is, there is such a huge appearance of discomfort, of the sort of, no, I don't feel like actually changing. I cannot truly see myself changing in that way. I do not understand why I should be changing like this, or even worse, why I was bringing up before the whole concept of nowadays, for anyone who is interested in the process of self-actualization, there is so much information out there. There is something wonderful that happens nowadays, even is there are so many things which can somehow end up describing the personality of oneself that it can entirely occur absolutely unexpectedly that we end up dealing with a notion which attacks our very being in terms of I am suddenly getting questioned by something that I wasn't expecting was going to be talking about me. I am suddenly getting mentioned in a way in which I don't feel any more happy by a text which suddenly addresses something about my person. Like, what's a good example? What's an easy example? Actually, there are good examples that I should use. An easy, like, I don't know, for example, when you're trying to read, me ask what I should read to get into philosophy. If you want, mm, let me do it. Let me actually write it down because otherwise I know that I will keep on repeating them and it will be way too impossible for you to actually understand. Because once again, I am ESL. I have to be aware of my condition. Give me a second. Can I write here or do I need to go somewhere else? Wait, can I write? Let me just. No. What the fuck? I cannot. Okay. Give me. What I want to. How much do I have I actually been here to begin with? No clue, but okay. I can open YouTube from my phone. That's how we can do it. Give me a second. Give me a second. It's so convoluted, so unnecessary. Okay. We can do it here. Here. And I referenced the book. The problem is I don't even know the name of the book. Like, I know it exists. What's the name of this book that I am trying to talk about? World of Sophie? Sophia? Sophie's World. Okay. Sophia's Burden. Here. There we go. And now, also, let me clarify this part. Okay, there we go. Okay, now. Because I tried to say that, but really sometimes it's like, no, yeah, but where do we start? It doesn't matter. Sometimes doesn't matter. The point is that you read anything of that sort. Even if you are starting, like, I don't know. A good example. Also, I am so amazing. I never realized I was overlaying the text. I should get. I don't need to say that. It's such a clever play. I rage quit anybody who tries to read that unavoidably. There we go. Also, why do we have a thing called Photoshop? Capturing Krita, which I don't even have installed on this PC. Can happen, I guess. Whatever. So, I was saying. That, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the whole aspect of when you try to self-actualize and when you encounter those things pertaining to frictions in the character of oneself, basically, that's the simplest way to refer to them. It's bound to happen unavoidably first and foremost, but there is also a whole degree of, and unsurprisingly, even if it is bound to happen, there is an incredibly important aspect related to friction, and that is, it's beyond being solvable, it's always going to be present, because the person is always changing in their character, because I am always changing how I see things, because unavoidably I am always trying to make sure that I act accordingly to what I have understood now that matters and such. There are always different degrees of things that I should be looking towards for the sake of making sure that my progress is secured on one hand, but on the other it also means that I will be continuously encountering those very same notions which possess a degree of weight against what I currently seem to hold true. And because all of this is guaranteed to exist in those ways, I am always going to be having situations which make me feel like that. And what I find interesting here is this characteristic of discomfort doesn't get addressed. So it gets normalized that, when you are feeling bad reading something, that means that it is time for you to give up. What? What an incredibly negative way of trying to teach anyone how to read stuff of that sort. Oh no, yeah. If you are getting shown something very dark in the things that you're reading, in the things that you're exploring and whatnot, you are doing something wrong. No. There is, I guess, at that point we have to go back to the whole aspect of what is philosophical readings in themselves, in terms of understanding how to not be affected by all of this and such. There is something absolutely necessary. The capacity to not take personally what sometimes gets said, I don't require to think I am not forced to assume that everything that talks about a certain quality pertains to me. Even if it could pertain to me to some degree, it doesn't mean that I am being personally described. The whole aspect of I can attribute what I am exploring as a characteristic of only myself, as what is logical enough, like once you get to quote unquote grow up, the whole aspect of I understand that this thing is talking about things that do matter for everyone, but it isn't describing only me. Like, I don't know what I said before. Every single person needs to understand that they have to not possess the desire to kill other people, or even if, oh no, yeah, you cannot control your desires. Okay, even if you desire it, let's say, you have to not act upon your wish. You have to not hurt other people simply because you woke up today and said, ah, yeah, I have this sensation appear on me. And to assume that because this is being described and this applies to me, therefore this thing is specifically referring to my condition, that is something that requires a little bit of patience to be capable of adopting properly towards, or in regards to the attitude with which one reads the things that they read, basically, in terms of, yeah, I cannot always assume that it isn't attacking me, or I cannot always feel like this thing is problematic because it's talking about something that I do that I thought was fine or whatever. But even if it is like that, even if it is present, even if the discomfort does create friction in terms of, yeah, I am not as willing to do what I wanted to do, there is still a huge degree of, but it's also absolutely necessary to be capable of understanding how to properly utilize the discomfort that gets created in a meaningful way, how to let it exist for the sake of then also not being stopped by it. Because self-actualization, I feel like, is performable for everyone. Like, achievable, okay, issue, tiny issue. Performability is a negative word nowadays, so we are not going to use it. Sorry for trying to use it. I meant instead the whole aspect of being capable. Why is there a doorway here? Whatever. Therefore, then, the aspect of achievableness. It is achievable for everyone to be capable of doing it. The characteristics of, no, yeah, because today you have thought about something that is to some degree bad, you have to entirely relinquish your progress in regards to what is notions of this sort in what pertains to your own characteristics and such. All of that gets taken as acceptable in other cases when it doesn't need to, and it shouldn't have to. It's not just unnecessary, but also detrimental for the, in general, for the people to be so willing to say, no, yeah, you know what, this is what's bound to happen, therefore I am bound to always suffer from, because I am trying to think about this, because I am trying to have in my mind so anything present about these very same notions and such. It's what keeps, you can say it like this, what keeps so much of the exploration of this, even nowadays, inaccessible to people. The whole aspect of, yeah, you know what, you found, once again, what I explained before, you find something that is minimally upsetting, minimally transgressive towards your personal reality, abandon the text entirely. Don't continue reading. Don't you dare continue reading it. Sometimes it's actually necessary to do that. Sometimes it's actually necessary and useful to be capable of saying, yeah, even if it is addressing one of my qualities, it isn't something that deserves me absolutely abandoning the book, the article, the whatever. Yeah, because that whole discussion is not, my point is, because that is not present in any other form, then unavoidably and surprisingly we end up with the reality of, I cannot progress, I cannot change, I keep on having so many troubles. How would I not have troubles if in the moment in which I am trying to change, I have to hear once again the bell that tells me that any kind of change which requires me to process things, to be capable of addressing what I'm being told sometimes it's bad, and to be capable of finally bringing forward what I want to not have an issue with anymore, all of that is way not just hard to do, but also incredibly uncomfortable for this, not for the sake of, but the mere reality of, indeed, man, I cannot exactly make that happen. No matter how much I wish to, if I myself keep on just having around me that very same notion, there is nothing that I can modify, and there is nothing that I can utilize to not let that exist, sadly. Even if I am trying my best, because still, what comes from that outside influence and what comes and what keeps me in that very same place of, no, yeah, you know what, doesn't matter, it has no importance. Your change, your progression, your capacity to do better has not to rely also on your capacity to confront the situations which you are now trying to acknowledge as well. It only has to depend on your capacity to push yourself in what you can see good. Do you have a negative attitude towards the things that you love? Do you not realize that you are killing yourself by pushing your own body so hard for the sake of the things that you love? No need to analyze that. It is better if you remain instead in an incredibly toxic mentality and culture which tells you that it is fine to not stop and at least try to question if that is good or bad. So yeah, that's I am starting to get angry. So yeah, excuse me. I admit that. Point is, yeah, that I don't know, the whole aspect of friction and the presence of it more than anything else, what pertains to self-actualization, is incredibly annoying, because you don't find that described as something necessary in any place, at least as far as I am aware. I mean, no, yeah, even in, I always try to properly encapsulate what I say, or what is it, contextualize what I say. No, yeah, inside of psychology, so much of psychology is based on the principle of friction itself and whatnot. Yeah, it's wonderful to be capable of moving forward. It is absolutely wonderful. The problem is when you cannot realize that because you want to move forward, you also need to shed some of the weight that came with the assumptions that were given to you. Sometimes what you are being told is fine, is harmful. And sometimes what was useful before stops being useful right now, because sadly we are not bound to the same conditions eternally. Sometimes things change, and what hindered you before now doesn't destroy you as it used to. That's, I think, the notion. So yeah. Also, CJ, thank you for the knowledge. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. Yes, it's. What the fuck is this? What? What? Hey, what? Whatever. My what? Only God knows what this mode is. I guess it's waves, I have to assume. Yeah. But anyway, I was saying, basically, that, and I don't know, I feel like, as always, it's annoying to see that the whole presence of self-actualization becomes burdened by the reality of, yeah, that doesn't really matter. Today, you're having a hard time thinking about this thing. That means that you never have to think about this. Something I have found it within the context also, for example, literature. Sometimes books that you are trying to read will be annoying to finish. That means that you never have to read things that you don't enjoy. That you never have to try to do something that might in any way or manner represent a difficulty for you. It's fine for you to not be willing to put yourself through that weight. It's fine for you to not be willing to think out those situations through those lenses. It's correct and it's appropriate for you do not acknowledge their existence and do not try to process them in those manners. So, then if any kind of problem later on arises, there is nothing to properly utilize the capacity to put the blame on, because in the end, what are we going to blame? Are you going to say that the realization that you had was unavoidably just like everyone else? That, yeah, I cannot as easily deal with this thing, because in the end, is it truly that bad? If I cannot progress with my readings, if I cannot progress with my exploration of concepts and such, if I cannot progress with all of that, it's good anyways, because there are so many other things available, there are so many other aspects available to it. I don't have to worry about continuing to do good. I don't have to worry about continuing nor changing how I approach certain situations. I can always make sure that I only remain in the same side, quote unquote, progressing, as insofar as I don't change what I am truly or what I am actually exploring. I can develop one-sidedly, basically. My development as a person doesn't need to be entire. I can be, for my issue came with, it's so fantastic to see people have an interest on their physique. But what about the mental health, my man? What about, I am so willing to talk about mental health. What about the physical health? Any of both changes can occur, and the degree to which they are not allowed is annoying. The degree to which they are treated as unnecessary, as the conversation between those not having to happen at all, is hurtful, unavoidably in the end for anyone who is truly trying to do better. You see out of nowhere that, it doesn't matter, even if you have so much of a desire to change these conditions, even if you have so much of a desire to, then yes, make sure that you are actually enjoying what you do, make sure that you're actually having a good time in what you do. It doesn't matter, because why should you care so much about that? Huh? But then, it's part of the experience, I guess. It simply has to do with getting to abandon that very same discourse that comes from outside, basically. Even if it is available, doesn't mean that it is useful. That's my conclusion, I guess. Even if sometimes it's nice to hear out the quality of, you can, for sure, you can certainly think about and certainly have in mind only what you like. Sometimes it's not necessary, not that great. And there is also one particular aspect to all of that I prefer, or that I feel like loves to be ignored, and that is the whole notion of, but sadly, it also has a lot to do with the notion of, when I am trying to do better, when I am trying to improve, and I have to confront something that in itself brings discomfort to my progression, I am doing something wrong. I should never have to talk about uncomfortable things. That you are trying to naturalize so much what is uncomfortable is in itself a bad so, because I as a person don't need ever to think about such things. My life is based on living a happy existence. Therefore, if you decide to tell me that I should not live that I should not have that, you are wrong. That's bad. Because while life is about trying to have a great life itself, that is absolutely acceptable. I don't think there is any discussion about that aspect. To not be capable of, like, simpler analogy, to always keep oneself in the crystal. What is it? Not prison exactly. It applies to some degree, the crystal sail, the crystal room of the perfection that is only the things that you like. Unavoidably, the person who at some point, just like, once again, Yeah. That is also part of it. The whole aspect of holy moly. Finally, they all got up to me. Unavoidable. The whole aspect of I do not talk out what displeases me. That doesn't matter. I only talk out what I feel good and such. When that happens, it is that one can finally say, it's not all that great, you know. There are still some aspects of my life that rely on me getting to have a minimally bad time before I can finally continue having a great time, so to speak. To live in the illusion, see not evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, I guess would be a better. Yeah, also. The whole notion of, or I mean, to some degree, it can be good, it can be not so much. The whole aspect, yeah, of see and hear no evil is useful. To speak no, or is the part that pertains the most. I wouldn't be so willing to say whether you have to be an evil person. I don't think that's really the conclusion that I'm trying to reach in terms of you have to be willing to do bad things. That's a different discussion in terms of how to be capable of accepting that sometimes one has to sacrifice their own morality for the sake of achieving the higher goal and whatnot, and how to do so appropriately without actually becoming an evil person and similar. But the notion of you have never the need to talk out what you don't like. You have never the need to think out anything that you don't feel like makes you have a good time. Like, I don't want to infantilize it to some extent, because sadly it's what you can see people of 20 years do, people of 30 years also do. The whole aspect of, I don't know, yeah, this thing makes me minimally uncomfortable. This thing makes me minimally displeased. So that means that I am never again going to bring this thing up. What are you talking about? That's what I'm trying to say, Isabel. But yeah, I don't know. It's the progress of getting to slowly realize where situations of this sort exist and how can one actually navigate through them. Probably, yeah. Okay, also, probably we're going to take a break after this dungeon. I have been sitting here for way too long and I should both stretch and also for the sake of stuff, get up. So yeah. What's the allegory? Um, idol break. Yeah. But well, so far, at least, incredibly enough, actually, the world is working. There has been no issue besides the moment in which I got killed, unavoidably, because I have no HP. I do enough damage, so that's great. But well, I'm going to, yeah. Do I have any portal close? No, doesn't matter. Okay. We're going to take the tiny break, probably like 1 or 2 minutes. So yeah. Here. Oh wait, I need to change the arrows. No. True. Let me. This. No. Okay. There we are. Oh, okay. There we are. Now for real. BRB in a while. In a while, no, in like 5 minutes. Less than 5 minutes. So yeah. Give me a second. See you. Uh, what the fuck are you doing? Sorry. Anyway, I'm back. I'm amazing. Anyway, sorry. I'm back. Me on my sadness, the moment. Brother. Anyway, good morning. I am back. I am beating the bush around. I realized I had a tiny sudden realization. I have still yet to talk about the aspect which made me think about what we are talking about in general. To some degree, I guess, because it also needs an explanation, and I like to say you see what I was saying before of the issues that you tend to normalize. We can utilize that. I like to say I am so bad at explanations. The issue is one is not so bad at things that they like to believe they are. The reality is I don't want to think if I am good or not. I don't want to find out if I can do a good job, because to do so requires a lot of effort, and to put this effort into practice to make myself work for said things is so complicated, consumes so much time. I would rather not do it. I would rather simply say, yeah, you know what? I have such a hard time explaining things than to ever try to actually explain anything, even if we all would gain from me doing it. I would rather continue telling the lie that you never know is a lie. After all, once again, I can make it look like it's true enough. I can make it look like, and I can give it enough of an emphasis to truly act like my condition is stale and my condition has never the possibility of being in any way modified. What? But yeah, I was trying to say. Going back to what I was trying to say. There you have an example, a meta example, I guess. Anyway, the whole aspect of frictions. There is also, besides the frictions, I explained, when you're dealing with uncomfortable stuff, basically, you're going to encounter frictions that appear from within oneself in regards to, this thing doesn't feel good at all, which you can naturally identify. Here comes the other part of that, which is there is also a huge degree of frictions which occur the moment in which you are not even willing to say. For example, I realize that at the most when I am trying to read anything related to some of the authors which I don't like in psychology, the whole aspect of I am getting so tired, this thing is taking so much time to read this thing, is so impossible to comprehend. And the issue, the problem with this other more absolutely undetermined kind of frictions is how can you actually identify them? Because unavoidably you need to be capable of understanding something that can also naturally happen. Like, unavoidably, I as a person am studying. Therefore, that means that I am going to get tired. But, same issue, what I said before, as a sudden burst of schizophrenia, of, when I realize that I myself wants to say that I am not capable of giving you an explanation, not because I do not have the capacity, but simply because I would rather do that than to understand that it requires some time, but I am as good as anyone else to do that. I might, or oh no, wow, it might take me a little bit more of effort. Wonderful, you can anyways do it. But to bring that realization forward and to be capable of making it present still requires far more than what once again, we are sometimes told we should try to do. What we are sometimes told is fine to actually let happen. And my idea, realizing, I guess to some extent, as I have said, it's complicated still to actually have a completely defined way to say, this is how you solve it. I don't really. No, it's not that I don't think. I have yet to identify a completely certain way to say, this is how you solve it. Besides the basic, you analyze the attitudes and you analyze how it comes forward. The symptom of disbelief that you feel physically is also an indicator of the unwillingness that you possess towards the thing which you're trying to do, which you have already understood at a different time, is negative unto yourself. The problem is that to be capable of doing this, you need to understand already how you tend to act when something of a similar nature happens, and even more how in this case this same occurrence is brought forward in this strange manner, unnatural manner in which you are not actually, for example, what I was saying, I am not really feeling tired from what I am reading. I am not really feeling exhausted from what I am trying to actually go through. But I can say that I am, and I can say that I have such a hard time with the authors, and I win. And I get to not deal with them anymore. Nobody has to know that, but the problem / reality is, I can also try to see that sometimes I have the access to the material excuse when it isn't truly the truth. There is a whole aspect. I think you can frame it under. I remember recently having revisited the whole notion of you can give. Not you. The conscious brain gives logical explanations to what happens unconsciously most of the time. Understandably explained. When the thoughts that you get to have, let's say, are all produced for the sake of justifying what you have already chosen to do without you realizing that you have already made a decision. Therefore, the issue is that to be capable of making a choice of a different sort in regards to what you have already settled on stone you were going to accomplish requires from you the act of accepting and integrating within your vision the necessary aspect of holy moly, how am I truly aware or not of the things that I am already doing in regards to the goal that I have set, and how can I admit whenever it is that the change which I am trying to implement, the reason that I know for, in this case, stopping first and foremost, is the actual accurate one, because otherwise, unavoidably, I can say that I am tired, but I am not tired. I can say that I am exhausted. I can say that I am bad at something, but I am not. And the problem always is this. Only after intense analysis, so true, brother, but intense analysis with the desire to bring forward these very same manifestations, it is that the person can get to solve them. I guess that's how you explain it to some degree. It isn't fully clear anyways. Once again, still idea in progress. If it isn't understandable, please have patience with me. Next time it will be a little bit more solid. Next time, no clue when. But yeah, as I have said, I found myself thinking about that recently. So much of the wonders of life and all the many available things that you could always access, but for some reason or another, you disregard. You think it's unnecessary to think about this. No, yeah, it's so much better to. Today I will doom scroll for the next 5 hours. I don't even like the scrolling, but I like to not think at all about things that will require time from me and dedication to actually reach conclusions. So I will instead say that I prefer doom scrolling, even if after having doom scroll for those 5 hours, I am hit with a wave of regret. Wow. But such is life, I guess. Anyways. So yeah, I think I am done with my explanation. Thank you very much. I ought to explain my point, so I am happy. I should probably drink some water, yeah, actually. Let me wait here, yeah. Before I enter the next area, and yet again I get killed because this game has no function to avoid taking damage while you enter a new zone. Also, I hate that level. No. Why is this thing with this color? What's up with that? Interesting. What's... I like how this music is so dramatic because it puts me way too much on fight or flight mode unnecessarily. But it can happen, yes. Don't we like to play games for the dopamine that they give us? What's it? What is it to it? If it accomplishes its function optimally, aren't I enjoying it anyways? Aren't I willingly doing out of this? Why? Because I have a better time when I complain about things that I love. Because to be willing to say that they are good is to admit that I am already satisfied. And in an endless world with so many possibilities, to admit satisfaction already is bad enough. Even if it is the thing that we say we're always pursuing, no? So, alive. Anyways, and I don't know. Besides all of that, I can only say I'm looking forward to the future. What did he mean by that? Great question. I haven't. I don't know. So many things are going on. I remember. I saw a study. No, I didn't see it. Sorry. I'm lying. I haven't seen the study. I saw that I should have seen the video. That's what I saw. New discovery related to consciousness. We are on the event horizon of making a breakthrough, I guess. In terms of, oh yeah, we're very soon going to finally have even more beautiful information relating to all of these things that pertain to the human nature and such. Because indeed, as I said, it's related to consciousness. I think it is in fishes or something like that basic. And it seemed good enough. The only issue is, I don't know. I feel like there is so much to learn out there. It's good. It's not okay. On the same line of what I have already discussed for today enough times, the whole aspect of they have a proper title, limiting beliefs. On anything that is related to limiting beliefs, there is also something that gets fundamentally taught. There is a limit to how much information you can actually learn. Why is that a lie? Because it is false. Why is that not true? Because there is something that relates a lot with how much you are trying to keep the information within your brain. Okay, I guess only necessary deep clarification, as long as you are somebody who has the capacities to retain information, and as long as your brain works and such, without this sentence is false. Your sentence? What? Is that a... I have no clue. Is that like a... What's the word? Mind... mind game? No. It's not the word at all. That's not the word at all. Not even remotely. Like a puzzle? I have no clue. Do you think? Yeah, you can. Probably soon enough. What about the sentence? This sentence is false. What? Will I shout to your fans? No, I don't do that. I don't do that. I am not bold like that, sadly. Why do not be supportive? Sorry. I can only tell you that you can accomplish your dreams, but I cannot give you the means to do it, because they were always within yourself, brother. So that means, what did he mean by that? Please subscribe. Give me $5. Yeah, I will subscribe if you subscribe. Well, you deserve it, man. How can you not have a soul? You deserve to be sent to the... To the what? Half-eaten mochi. Wow. But no, anyway, I have still no clue. I remember, like, the puzzle of... what is it? The unsolvable question? No, not unsolvable question. They are unsolvable questions, but that's not the proper category of things. Don't remember how they are called. I am ESL, please excuse me. But those tricks, like the sentence above is false, the sentence below is false, or in switched order. The next sentence is going to be false. The previous sentence is false. Question is, which one of the two is false? The whole conundrum of therefore, none of them are false. No one of them is false. But probably, from a basic point is, yeah. Basically, that one. Or, I mean, the different iterations of the same idea. But I don't know. What about that? If you apply basic logic, I guess, also it can be said, because the question is, what about this sentence is false? In reality, nothing is false, because it is a question that asks you what is false. It isn't. It assumes that something could be false, but it doesn't presume that something has to be false for the final analysis that you reach to be correct. Like, in the different order of, what is it? Of, yeah, previous sentence and the next sentence, both of them contradict each other. There is no contradiction within this other one of, this, what in this sentence is false. Nothing has to be false. Nothing, it doesn't necessitate for the conclusion to have something be false. It just can happen that nothing is false, because it is a question, not a requirement of the solution, I guess. But yeah, for this and more logic analysis, follow. Today we're gonna be analyzing the story of the three little pigs and see why, logically speaking, the wolf could have destroyed the house of the second pig. But no, the metaphor is something else. The metaphor was about the familial love and union and how one can rely on their most beloved members to be saved at the very last second, and how salvation comes in the form of an own helping hand sometimes, and how sometimes being willing to do the most. No, you're it all wrong. Here, with the things straight as they are, the second pig should have not been killed. He deserved to die. Anyway, sorry. I'm having a brain fart, as they will say. Excuse me. Why am I throwing this shuriken by? Because I am moving with the arrow keys. I didn't realize I have been the whole stream moving with the arrow keys when I used to not do that at all before. Understandable. I don't know when I did that switch actually. Amazing. But anyways, the game has been too funny. Time to look at the market screen for the next 5 hours. Nah, probably you can finish this area too and not need to do that. It's to be capable of getting things ready beforehand. Of making when things work, life is so fantastic, my man. When things stop being impossible to do anything with. Me when I finally get it. When it clicks, when I get an eureka moment, as they will say. But well, all is thanks to this game being 10 times easier than Path of Exile. One day, next, promise, one day we're going to actually win, but not here, on Path of Exile actually. And when that day comes, we're all going to rejoice, and the Jabberwocky will have been slain, and we're going to dance like it has never danced before. It has never been danced before. Don't worry. But today is not today. For the Jabberwocky still remains. Wow! I didn't know I could string sentences together like that. Anyway. I have to admit, studying fries my brain a little bit and trying to explain things, even if I gave you enough explanations, it's not that it is impossible. Actually, you can still literally apply what I said before of friction. You can entirely apply it to this the degree to which you say, no, I don't need to do this, I don't want to do this, I am not going to be capable of doing this. It just takes a little bit more time, but it's achievable. The situation arises when you actually say, no, yeah, it's absolutely impossible. Also, wait. No. I need to be more attention, but excuse me. I didn't mean to ignore. I hate. Why do you get censored so much? What the fuck? Expired! You need to scream to me, brother. You need to hit all caps and fucking scream to me. You need to kill me. No, you need to tell me that I'm not realizing that you're getting censored by the big YouTube order. But no, to reply, I guess. ¿Qué no los dos? Ah, what did he mean by that? Great question. Wow. Attack speed? I don't need attack speed. Attack rating? I don't need attack rating. I am selling stuff that I shouldn't be selling. All of this I could literally throw in the market. Can happen. But well, I don't know. Do I have anything else to here actually? Or are we just want to continue? Legacy, Pirate, Saturn, Shaman. What class am I like? What class am I playing? Is there no way for me to see? I don't know if I am playing the Samurai. I think I am. But I guess this is what I should actually be trying to utilize, no? But only God knows if this actually applies or not. We can... You know what we can do? We can finish this act. That's what we can do. Stop persuading yourself from changing the goal. You get it. You know. Sometimes, even if it is a goal, even if my dreams can be gained, I better remain far away from them, because they could be a goal, but what if they are not truly a goal? Only the confrontation, the realization of such a reality is that I fail, but until I don't confront that at all, my life is so much better. But anyways. Also, take into consideration that they have such filters. Won't I probably, like, I never changed the filters. I have them on, like, getting only very rare stuff. I probably am missing so much. But that's great anyways, because otherwise we would have been here for even longer, so no need to do it. Even if it could be done, no need to do it. Butterfly knife, amazing. This game gets me so well. Talking about great question. What is the... What's up with this guy? He remained there for... Okay. Thank you so much for doing literally nothing. Oh my god. He can one-shot me with his things. With his falling rocks. Butterfly knife. Attack speed, critical strike damage. Oh my god. Oh my god. You think you might listen to an audiobook of Faust out of all things to Faust? Like, it's acceptable. It's acceptable. Like, I am not saying that it is a bad choice, but I don't know. A Russian literature? You said before that you haven't heard yet. No, yeah, I mean, for the sake of having things saved, I also have this guy who's called Hegel. I have that guy saved, but I shouldn't be reading him at all. I have yet to reach all the previous ideas that allow me to understand what I am trying to actually read, you know? It's sometimes it's not so necessary to try to rush ahead, even if I could, quote unquote, understand, I don't know, Russian literature. What is it? Is it? Well, no, to some degree, it's fiction, not really fiction, but It's, I don't know, enjoy it. If you have decided that you will do it, and there is no thing that will persuade you from doing it, enjoy first. But I don't know. I will just take my time. Yes, that's the only thing that I will say. Good luck if you set to it. It's a great book. It's an amazing book, actually. It's even more metamorphosis. The writing thing. What are you yeah. Yes. Yeah. Whatever is the writing thing. But no, sorry. Probably. Depending on what you Kafka. Yes. I know who wrote Metamorphosis. What? It's good. But I mean, when you say the writing thing, what is the writing thing itself? Like to read written books. That's what you mean. To read literary works. That's a way to put it, certainly. But no, what I was trying to actually say is, in reality, I don't think that there is any particular. When it comes to literature itself, I don't believe it is so necessary to read certain stuff in terms of yeah, this before that, but what matters the most is to have the capacity to not admire, absorb, and be capable of interpreting all the figures of speech in terms of more than anything else. Also, translating correctly the metaphors utilized and the allegories that they like to utilize. That's the problem in terms of. I try to stay away from things that I know I won't have such an easy time until I can finally develop such capacities. That's what I'm trying to say. Hope you have that, and hope, therefore, you can easily explore those books. Yeah. But well, we are. Yeah. I mean, what's the trying? Let me say it simply. It's very good to have something that lets you choose what interests you, even if it is sometimes what other people would not call interesting themselves. That doesn't possess so much of an importance. What is the important thing is the quality to realize what matters and what you can say, yeah, even if just for today I wanted to read this, I don't know if tomorrow I will keep reading it, or in terms of even if today I am willing to try it. Tomorrow perhaps I give up on all of this, but today at least I gave it an honest go. That already is good enough. Also, where is the exit? And to learn to have that is amazing, because otherwise it's so unfunny. Sarcasm is my favorite mode of expression, but it's actually incredibly unfunny to not know what you like and to not let that very same spirit be present in terms of fun. Yeah. I don't know what I wanted to do. There are so many things to do. The problem is being capable of saying that one wants to do something, doing it. So great. Now, if we read it on Sangian terms, no. Yeah, I mean, it's reasonable enough, the whole aspect of at the very least being capable of dedicating yourself until you actually understand if you truly like it or not. I don't know. Better than to know, let's say like this, to never be capable of realizing if what you do is truly something that interests you or not, and do therefore something that doesn't catch your actual attention but rather keeps you entertained enough to the degree to which you say, yeah, works. While to some degree always carrying the notion of, I could be doing something that was more meaningful, but because I don't know what is more meaningful, I will not do it, or I am not capable of doing it. That's bad. So, even if it takes some extra time, the capacity to see to that extent what you like and what you don't is good. That's my justification. Yeah. So, great. So, yes. Okay. Where are I again down? I gained 2 points? Or am I losing it? Or both? What comes next? Wait, what? Increases damage? What? There is a flat damage increase? Amazing! Okay, I didn't see that. Okay. We are good. We are so good. So, we're almost. No, I don't really know how many more maps do we have ahead actually. And all I know actually is that it's taking way too long to clear maps because they have so many enemies present in them. Wasn't expecting that actually. I would have expected anything else, but not this absurd quantity. But well, what does a little bit more of branding do to a tiny soul? What is that? Who knows? Perhaps something incredibly important, perhaps. But we will never know because I'm not going to look back. But no, anyways. Makes sense. I don't know. At least I can say from my perspective that I prefer classics because there is a lot less of weight in terms of well, I don't really read literature, more modern literature, that much beyond, I don't know, incredibly popular stuff that it became classics in terms of, well, 100 years of solitude, I think it is, and such, which it isn't really that modern, but the whole aspect, basically. I prefer older stuff because it's more understandable, simply because it doesn't need you to have read 20 other things before. Yeah, makes sense. There is still like a lot of words anyways to say, oh no, yeah, simply because it's fantasy, it's childish, so it's such a good bad lie for, no, you're not reading exactly what matters. No, not really. You could perhaps be exactly getting a good message, even if it eternal concept of even in child content nowadays we have great messages. So doesn't matter as long as what you're doing works. Escapism, understandable. I mean, isn't that most of what people do when reading in terms of yeah, this keeps me at the very least busy for a handful of days, minutes, so that I don't really have to think about anything else. So it's not really that different in a way. It's the norm. It's what in most cases occurs, so to speak. Also, I have such damage. Why am I killing bosses so rapidly? But well, we have reached a checkpoint, a very good checkpoint for me to take another break. Or I don't know, how much have I actually been here? 2 hours and a half. Back on it? Yeah. It works, it works. I thought it wasn't going to work with the whole ricochet aspect for killing bosses, but it actually is helpful. What is it? The confined spaces in which you fight them is more than functional, so it's amazing. Yeah, and I mean, sadly, I don't really try myself to wait for the rotations of attacks and whatnot. Otherwise, it will be a different story. But once you get to do that, like, if you have the patience to do that, most bosses have an attack that does summon things. So it makes the whole act even simpler. But well, I guess yeah. For today, we're done. No. Yes, no, yes, because I'm feeling tired. I should hear to that bell. So yeah, for today, we're done. It was good enough, but one has to know when to say this is it. So yeah, tomorrow we continue. Also, yeah, tomorrow I have classes, so yeah, Noel cannot remain as late. So yeah, it was good. But anyways, as always, yes, thanks for everything. For the time, the patience, the interest, the everything, and yeah, as always, take care, rest, hydrate, stretch, and be responsible and such. And yeah, see us next time tomorrow. And even if there is no tomorrow, thanks anyways for everything. It has been magnificent. So yeah, and also still take care. And yeah, that's it. Good night.